Good evening. I'm going to be on for a few minutes tonight, and I'm talking about the subject of writing books, growing a fan base as well, which is what I'm trying to do here on Periscope. I have also interacted on other social mediums, Twitter, Instagram, and that's been pretty successful. I'm enjoying this new medium of Periscope as well. But if you want to write your own books, I would strongly encourage you to do so. I've written 7 books so far, and I'm working on number 8 right now. And it's been a really fun and exciting process. And like I say, the barriers that used to be there are really not there anymore. So if you want to write a book, by all means, start doing it. You can get going. Amazon will let you publish any book. Now selling it's another matter, and we can talk about that as well. But I've been very fortunate in that regard. I have 7 books, 6 are the Bart Gnarly zombie books, and those have done well. And another book is a science fiction book called Black Cone. That's written under Brian Moorhead, which is my real name. And I started writing books a number of years ago, but I actually published my first book in 2013. And since that time, I've published 6 more, and I'm getting ready to publish another one. Anyway, it's been a fun and fascinating journey, and I've enjoyed growing as an author. One of the things I'm trying to do more of is connect with my audience in a real-time way, like here on Periscope. And that's been a lot of fun. I enjoy watching other people take their journeys as well. And I'm here to help you. If you want to be writing your own book, there's things I can advise you on. I'll give you free advice as far as how to market or sell your books or write your books. I'm glad to answer any questions that you might have. You can also email me. My email address is bartgnarly@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, and the Instagram is @bartgnarly. So I just started Instagram a few weeks ago. I've already got over 750 followers on Instagram. So that's been pretty neat. I've been sharing story ideas and covers over there. There's always somebody like that. Anyway, Instagram's been great. I've enjoyed interacting with people over there. But this medium of Periscope is pretty cool, except for the trolls that you get out there, like some of these people that are just losers and just want to disrupt others because they live in their mother's basement and that's all they've got to do. You know, there's always a few of those. They live in their mother's basement. They play video games, and and they troll people like me and others. So disregard the losers out there. But if you want to be a winner and you want to write your own stories, I can help you do that. I'm glad to give you any advice. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those questions right now. But like I say, you can follow me here on Periscope. Also follow me on Instagram. And I'm going to be doing regular broadcasts. I'm going to be talking about writing, how to write books, how to develop characters, how to develop story arcs. Everybody's got their own method of doing that. I'm going to explain my process just a little bit. I'm going to talk about, excuse me if I cough some too, because actually just yesterday I got diagnosed that I have asthma. And I didn't know that. So now I have adult onset asthma, so I'm dealing with that. I'm still kind of in shock over that. I just found that out yesterday. But I'm taking some medicine, and I've been suffering for these past several months, and I'm hoping I can sleep at night and get back to a normal life and be able to start writing again. I've got some other book ideas, But anyway, as far as the writing process itself is concerned, I'm going to talk about a book that I wrote called Black Cone. And that's under my real name of Brian Moorhead. And I wrote that book back in 2013. And it was my most difficult book to write. My other books I've written under a pseudonym of Bart Gnarly. Those are zombie books. But this one I wanted to write under my real name. It's not a zombie book. It's a much more serious book than the other ones are. And it took me about a year to write that story. And basically, I thought about it for about a year before I actually started writing it. And so that's one thing as far as my writing process, and that's what I call rumination. Ruminating, thinking about the story. A lot of times I'll have all the basic premises of my story worked out in my head before I ever start writing it. Now, I know other writers do differently. Other writers will just kind of wing it, and they just let the matter, let it flow to them any way, which way but loose. But I like to think about the basic premise of a story, and writing the story becomes easier for me. And I don't have a shortage of ideas. I've got plenty of ideas. So any of these people that get writer's block, I really don't understand that too much, because there's so many ideas out there. It's really, if you're a fiction writer like me, I've got more ideas than I could ever write in my lifetime. So writer's block is not a problem for me. But I did want to explain the basic premise, which I recommend to you also, and that is to think about your story for a while before you actually sit down and write it. And like I said, when I wrote my book Black Cone, I actually thought about that story for a year before I started writing it. And I think that made it a better story. And it actually turned out, even though I had the basic tenets of the story, it did turn out quite a bit different when I actually did start writing it. And that kind of surprised me. I thought I had everything perfectly lined out in my head, like I said, but once I did start writing it, new things came up and it took on a life of its own. And in some ways, it's almost like it wrote itself. And that is the really cool part of the creative process, is that inspiration and imagination that we don't all know exactly where that comes from. It comes from the great beyond somewhere. So anyway, when you're a fiction writer, you need to ruminate on your story and think about it. Some people like to also go by an outline. I had a basic outline of my story. The one I'm speaking of, Black Cone, was a global story. It was about a global pandemic, apocalypse event. And I didn't realize how complex it was going to be to write a story like that. And in some ways, I kind of bit off more than I could chew. It was much harder to do than I thought it was going to be. And that's why it took so long. The book's only about 145 pages long, but between the writing and the rewriting of it and the editing, it took me a full 6 months to write the story, and then with the rewriting and the editing of it, that took another 5 or 6 months. So that was the whole process of writing Black Cone, a global pandemic apocalypse. And so it was very difficult, but I think the story stands up, and I've gotten good reviews for the work, and that really feels good. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you tonight. Contact me if you like, bartgnarly@gmail.com if you have any questions, and follow me here on Periscope for my future updates. Anyway, you all take care and you have a good night, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So bye-bye.